Good morning. So I am drinking my morning tea and I wanted to come through just to talk a little bit about my hair transplant to answer some of the questions that I have been getting while it's fresh in my mind. So let's jump straight into it. So I got my hair transplant last week in Turkey and today is day 8. So you can see my hair is growing out already. All of this in the front is the actual hair transplant, and those are scabs that you see that I have to remove at about day 10 through day 12. By day 14, all of the scabs should be completely gone, but you don't want to force them, off of your scalp. You want them to naturally loosen and fall off so that the hairs underneath that have been implanted can spring out and sprout out. My hair was skin bald 8 days ago, skin bald. And as you can see, it's already sprouting. I'm noticing so much growth already. I started noticing growth on the second or third day. With hair transplants, there is a phase called shock loss where all of the transplanted hairs they just kind of shed away and your hair is in like a resting phase, and the magic is happening underneath your skin, and those follicles that have been implanted are going to eventually sprout out, but that takes about 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, it depends on the person. It's like a person to person basis, and what you put in your body during that time is super important. Of course, you want to make sure that you're nourishing your body with as much vitamins and minerals as possible. I do have my post-transplant diet that I am on, and I will continue that for about the first 2 to 3 months. And my post hair transplant diet, which I'll post a video about if you guys are interested, is not too far-fetched from the diet that I currently have already. So I eat a lot of fruits, vegetables. I grow my own vegetables. I have a farm stand in my apartment where I get fresh vegetables from on a daily basis. So you want to make sure that you're nourishing your body with kale, collard greens, salads. I have a lot of salads that I have on my farm stand as well. I eat a lot of fruit throughout the day. I do have a juicer, which I make my own fresh juices from as well. So after the transplant, some people do swell up a lot. I thankfully did not swell up that much. It was just very minimal swelling. You couldn't really even tell that I had anything done. So there are some restrictions that come along with your hair transplant. You cannot take or pull anything off your head or put anything on your head like a t-shirt. You want to make sure that you're wearing something that buttons down or zips up like a hoodie or like this. So for the first 14 days, I am quarantining in my house. Well, I'm quarantining because I'm sick, but also because I just want to make sure that I'm doing all of the right things, making sure that I'm extra careful with my hair transplant. You want to make sure that you're also careful when you're getting in and out of the car so that you do not bump your head on anything, because that can make the grafts that they implanted kind of come out and loosen up and you'll lose it. And within the first, I want to say 7 to 14 days are the most critical and crucial after a hair transplant, because those grafts for the first few days are your skin has to kind of grow around the grafts individually, and then new capillaries start forming, new blood vessels start forming around the implanted hairs underneath your skin. So you want to make sure that you try your hardest not to knock into anything or damage it in any way, because that will completely ruin all of your hard work, all of your time, all your money. So I've been super careful. Also, you, for the first 10 to 12 days, are not able to sleep in your normal bed and, sleep as you normally would, because you can rub the hair follicles off. And of course you don't want to do that. So I have been sleeping in an upright position on my couch, and it's super comfortable. A lot of people complain about it. I have not had any complaints. I don't know if it's because I'm just so in my mind, I'm like, this has to work. This has to work. I need to do everything that I need to do to make sure that this works. I don't know if that's like the reason why I have no problem sleeping at night, but if I can't sleep for whatever reason, because it's a lot on my mind, I just take a sleeping pill or some melatonin and I'm knocked out, and I don't wake up until the next morning and I'm literally still in the same spot. So I do have a specific pillow that I purchased for this time period or for this phase, and the pillow is super comfortable for me. I had a serious back injury the winter before last, and I couldn't walk for months, and I was in a wheelchair, walking around with crutches, all types of stuff, y'all. I had a spinal injury, and within that time, I was told not to do anything strenuous or, I have to sleep a certain way and all that. Even with my spinal injury that I have no issues sleeping with that pillow. I highly recommend that pillow that I have. It's like a 4-piece pillow. You get like the back support. It also has a lower back support, which is amazing for me because I need all the lower back support I can get. And it does have like a like a wedge for your legs, and it's super comfortable. I don't have a problem with it. I'm fine. This is day 8 and I know I have 2 more days of sleeping with it, and I'm totally fine with it. So the hair transplant that I got, of course, it was in Turkey at a clinic, and it was so cool because they handled everything for me. I picked a specific package. I could talk more about this if you guys want specific details, but I picked a specific package. They gave me like an option of 4 packages. I chose the one that I wanted, and within the packages, there are not a certain number of, your graft number doesn't increase based on the package that you choose. Based on the package that you choose, the only thing that really changes is the hotel that you stay in, the amount of nights that you choose to stay there, and like the aftercare things. So those are really the only differences in prices. And I didn't plan on staying there long. I went by myself. I went completely solo. I didn't tell anyone that I was doing this until a week before it was time for me to go. I didn't want anyone talking me out of it. I didn't want anyone putting any of their fears on me. This is something that I have wanted to do for years. And when I got the opportunity to do it, I just jumped on it. So literally 3 weeks before I left, I decided that I was going to do it. I wanted to make sure that I'm doing it during the winter time. It is March now, so it's not technically winter, but I wanted to make sure that I at least had a few days in the house while it was still cold. Another thing too, you don't want to be out in the sun when you have your hair transplant because you don't want the sun to affect your skin or anything going on. So there is like a stipulation on that. So they don't really suggest having it done in the summer. Wintertime is obviously ideal because you get to just hibernate in your house, while your hair is growing out. So another stipulation is that you cannot sweat basically for the first 10 days. You want to make sure that you are just minimizing sweat in any way that you can. And I have a little fan that I carry around. I know y'all know the fans. It's like a little fan that I just carry around with me. But because I'm in the house for the most part, I'm not really sweating. But if I have to cook, I make sure that I'm cooking on a very low heat. The cool thing is the company that I went with, they do give you a calendar that updates all of your restrictions. Like, for example, today is day 8. So I'll go on the calendar, I'll go on the app, and I'll see that it's giving me the green light to be able to do whatever, restriction has been lifted. I did get my hairline done, but I also got a few grafts in my eyebrows, as you guys can see, which I'm so excited about as well. Of course, because you can't sweat, you want to make sure that you are not doing any physical activity, meaning adult activities, if you know what I'm saying, but also going to the gym is restricted. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, you guys. So the actual procedure, I felt no pain at all. I did pay extra for sedation. When I was doing my research, a lot of people were saying, oh my gosh, this is the worst pain I ever felt. Make sure you guys get sedation. Don't do it. Don't do it. Make sure you get sedation. Men were saying that. Women were saying that. I could say on a scale of 1 to 10, with me getting the sedation, my pain was a number 2. I don't feel anything even now. During the surgery or the procedure, I was talking to the technicians. We were laughing, joking. I was up the majority of the time, but I was just so exhausted. I was sick. There's a whole bunch of stuff that was going on with me that day. I was on my period. I had gotten like a cold. It was just a lot of things that I was facing. And plus, I was on the United States like time zone still. So I was jet lagged, and they're 7 hours ahead of us. So I was kind of like drifting in and out of sleep, but for the most part, I was up. I need to be awake when someone is doing something on my head. When someone's doing something on me, period. I need to be awake. I need to hear what y'all are talking about. I need to know what's going on. I need to hear, oops. I need to hear all of those things. You know what I'm saying? So I know what's going on. That's exactly what I was doing. What y'all doing up there? I wanted to be informed the whole time. So I know they were like tired of me, but they were really nice about it. When they were injecting the needles, no pain. I'm talking, laughing. It wasn't something, it was like because I was kind of tensing up, thinking about all of the pain that people were saying I was going to feel. But when it actually went in, I didn't feel nothing. The actual procedure itself, there was a lot of blood around, which, because you are in another country, their health care stuff may be a little different from the US. So I was able to see the blood. It was a lot of blood. I don't get squeamish for blood, but there was a point where my head was down on the bed, and I saw blood like rushing down onto the floor. And I'm just looking at my blood. And then there were times where it was blood like coming into my ear. And 2, also when I got home, I was cleaning my ears, and there was like a very thick, like solid piece of blood like that was inside of my ear that it took me, I had to literally put peroxide in my ear about 4 or 5 times before it kind of loosened up and I was able to kind of scrape it up. But when it came out of my ear, I saw this big chunk of blood. That was kind of off-putting. Your head looks painful. When you see people after a procedure like that, their head is bleeding. Of course, your head is going to be bleeding because you have like the donor area that just, released all the follicles, and they did like, they put needles in your head. It's going to be bleeding, right? But I didn't, it wasn't painful. I was fine. I was fine. A lot of women say things like, oh, I'm going to wear a headscarf to the airport. I don't want anyone to see me. Y'all, I even brought one of my silk scarves with me in my baggage because I'm like, I don't know, like I don't want people to see me. I'm going to be skin bald. I'm going to look crazy. I didn't care. I was walking through that airport. No one looked at me like an alien. No one was rude or disrespectful. No one had like, lingering stares. I didn't care. I had my fan because you want to make sure that you're not sweating. And that airport is huge. I went to Istanbul. Their airport is humongous. You'll be walking miles, literally. So I had my fan and I'm doing what I do. You don't know these people. They never going to see you again. And most people get a lot of cosmetic work done in Istanbul. Apparently, there were people with nose jobs, people with their butts done, people who just had liposuction, and like 80 to 100 other people that just had hair transplants. So you good. So have I put anything on my head since I got this hair transplant? Absolutely not. I love this look. I love it. I did not know that I was going to love it so much, but I really do love this short hair. It's so easy. I have to wash my hair every day. Also, there is a 30-day restriction to when you're able to put something on your head. That's a question that a lot of people ask. So after 30 days, you are able to wear a scarf, a wig, or whatever. I'm not wearing wigs for maybe 2 months. There's no need to. So unless it's like a headband wig or something like that where I can manipulate it to be gentle on my edges, there's really no rush for me to have to do that. As my hair grows out, I'm just going to be wearing it. The weather is starting to warm up. It's March. I'm just going to rock with it. And I like it. I'm super excited about this journey, about this process. Also, a lot of people talk about how painful the eyebrows are. Zero pain. I had sedation for the eyebrows and the hairline. Zero pain. You do feel weird tingles in your scalp because your nerves are waking back up after the sedation and the local anesthesia. I can do a separate video if you guys want to know more about that. Whatever you guys want to know about, just let me know and I'll try to do a separate video on those things. But there's a lot of information to share about it, of course. Oh my goodness. I forgot to talk about this. I'm about to go to part 2 because this video getting long.